When I see children and adults in my practice, I am not certain if a food allergy is a predominant problem. So sometimes I don't even test at the very beginning. On the other hand, there are things in a patient's history that will pique my curiosity and let me start exploring mentally down the road of, might this person have a food allergy? And one of the things that is absolutely classic is the favorite foods and craves notion, where it's like little Johnny, his favorite food is pizza and chicken McNuggets. Or little Johnny, I mean, we cannot keep milk in the house. He'll go in and he'll drink the jar. Or a little Johnny or little Susie, wow, strange kid. They went in and took the pickle jar and drank all the juice out of the pickle juice, and that's brewer's yeast. And what these are telling me is that these reactions, these IgG reactions, trigger feel-good opioids in the gut. They trigger inflammation. And frequently children that have these specific food sensitivity, they crave the foods that they are allergic to. This is quite different from what most people think of as food allergies. So let me just break those down for you real quickly. There are basically two food allergies, two large groups: IgE food allergies and IgG food allergies. And I try to explain this to my patients in a way that they can remember it. So IgE food allergies, E stands for exciting. This is, the child that has a peanut allergy, eats peanut, airway closes down, the paramedics are called, rush to the hospital, they save the child in the nick of time, and obviously nobody's ever going to feed the kid a peanut again. That's IgE. IgG stands for going along. I mean, you're just going along through life, not really realizing that you have this food sensitivity or allergy. You just know that you love that ice cream or that milk or that pizza or those chicken McNuggets or pickles, and you just can't get enough and you crave it, and the reason is that you have that IgG sensitivity. And so sometimes I can pick that up in history. Sometimes I can't, and then when I check later, it will surprise me. With children who are in the autism group or severe ADHD, and they're really doing quite outrageous things like assaulting teachers and assaulting their parents, and biting children at school. And particularly if I have started down my classic allopathic route, and it's like, the person ought to be better with the medications that they're on. Why aren't they better? It's like, okay, it's now time to check for food allergies. And so that's another place that I go. If the person, forgetting any type of food cravings, forget that. But it doesn't come up in the history. No, little Johnny doesn't have any really particular foods. But if little Johnny is out of control for no good reason, and the medication should be right, and let's say little Johnny has adequate multivitamins, multiminerals, fish oil, everything is being done right, and still little Johnny is having meltdowns, it's almost mandatory to go check food allergies.
Fantastic. Do you see food sensitivities in adult disorders like schizophrenia or bipolar?
Yes, I do see food allergies in schizophrenia and bipolar. I have a classic patient with paranoid schizophrenia. A really nice guy, began to get paranoid in high school, and he was having a really hard time with his schizophrenia, despite maximum dose of two top-of-the-line atypical antipsychotics. And so, because nothing else was doing, I said, it's time to get an organic acid test and an IgG food allergy panel. And he came back very sensitive to wheat. And so I told him and his mom that wheat needed to be removed from the diet. And on one unfortunate occasion, he and his family dropped by a relative's place, and the relative had lasagna. And my patient had a copious serving of the lasagna. And the next day and the day after that, he was just incredibly out of sorts, had very angry outbursts, was uncharacteristically hostile, and then the mother realized, oops, he got into that lasagna and he has the gluten sensitivity. So that was kind of a very interesting experiment of nature that really brought it home to me. And this young man is continuing to do better with his schizophrenia. He's now been able to go out and eat in a public restaurant and not obsess about whether or not people are looking at him. And this would have been unheard of 6 months to a year ago.
Fantastic.
Do you think that allergy played a part in causing the schizophrenia, or it just helps alleviate the symptoms of it?
I do not know if it was causative. It probably was not causative. What we know from the history of schizophrenia is people are going along just perfectly well, and then it's like with one fell swoop, they're laid low. I don't think anybody has published that gluten sensitivity or anything else causes schizophrenia, but it can certainly make it worse, and it can make the symptoms worse.
Do you know what the mechanism is? You know, what is actually happening? It's an autoimmune issue, isn't it?
It's autoimmune. What's happening is that as you have IgG food antigen complexes, as they come together and they are precipitated and deposit down on the gut lining, they cause imperfections in the gastric mucosa, which allow partially undigested food and larger peptides. I'm not talking about big chunks of steak. I'm talking about microscopic, molecular-sized peptides and so forth to diffuse through the gut lining and into the bloodstream in a way that they should not. And the other thing that happens is that there are inflammatory cytokines that are liberated, including IL-6, tumor necrosis factor alpha, and probably several others. And those circulate all over the body and up to the brain, where they cause inflammation. And that's what actually makes it worse in people with mental disorders, and even people that don't have mental disorders, is the brain inflammation.